The Speedway Slammer announcement of the detention center in Indiana has caused lots of conversation and discussion in the motorsports community, especially as the post to announce this detention center was using IndyCar liveries, IP. Looks like an IndyCar is an IndyCar, and Speedway, Indiana is where IMS is located. Many content creators this week have shared really profound and insightful things about what this means, how it affects the community, and what could potentially be the fallout of this. I want to take a slightly different angle. I want to talk about sports washing. If you've followed my page for a while now, you know I've talked about sports washing on a couple of different occasions, particularly around the Daytona 500 this year with President Trump going to the Daytona 500. Sports washing, it is a tactic used by politicians and by governments to paint themselves in a better light, to kind of hide maybe some of the policies or atrocities that they're doing, and maybe even to appeal to the masses to say, I like your sports, you should like me too, we're one and the same. It can also be used as a tactic just to show how powerful that these administrations are and say, look, we're everywhere, we control your sports, we control everything. We see this with a lot of different things, particularly the World Cup has been one of the greatest offenders of sports washing, with different countries using it to hide some policies or human atrocities. Now, this, I believe, the Speedway Slammer is another use of sports washing and kind of covers a variety of different bases here. The Speedway Slammer, using IndyCar imagery and cars to promote the detention center, is a way of tapping into the Indiana heritage and motorsports heritage. Know anything about this Speedway Slammer? Maybe sounds like an old timey racer or racing move incident that happened at IMS. But instead, this imagery is being used to strike fear into people. It's used as a tactic to appeal to people, make it sound cool or exciting or interesting, or at least memorable. Because they easily could have announced this as the Indiana Detention Center, normal government name, and instead they wanted to spice things up to make sure that we don't forget about it, so that we remember it. I've seen people in comments say, hey, this is awesome. We want a livery with this on. I should sponsor a race car. But friends, this is particularly heinous because it is not just using sports and politics together. It is promoting these behavior that's happening of locking people away with no due process, often people who are innocent or who are here legally. This is a particularly heinous way, especially as many have drawn the comparison to say the number 5 that was on the original post is the number of the only Mexican driver in the IndyCar series. And none of this should really come as a surprise. I think we have seen that the owner of IndyCar and the new owner of IndyCar are pro-Trump. So it's not surprising that the IP has kind of slipped out and that they didn't have a strong backlash against it. And I'm afraid it's only going to get worse as this administration continues to use the Speedway Slammer imagery, name, and IndyCar likeness to promote what they are doing. Motorsports as a tool to promote your political agenda is really nothing new. In fact, 1930s Germany used this to promote the Nazi agenda by funneling lots of money into motorsports and into programs like Mercedes. And that became one of their strongest ways to promote how strong they were and how much of a power they were, by saying, look at all the success we have in motorsports and through our amazing German cars. Neil Bascom talks a lot about this in his book, Faster. I highly recommend it. It goes through a deep dive of how Nazi Germany used Mercedes as a tool to promote its agenda, to promote propaganda, to spread lies, and sports wash what they were doing politically and covering up their crimes.